Well, START stands for the Center for the Study of Terrorism and Responses to Terrorism. And it started almost exactly 20 years ago, and I was involved in originally setting it up. The story behind it might be worth recalling very rapidly, and it sort of explains how a criminologist got involved in studying terrorism. So I'd been doing a lot of work looking at international crime rates. I've been looking at, why do some countries have higher homicide rates than others, basically, and I've been using United Nations data to do that. And in about 2000, well, in 2000 actually, one of my graduate students told me about a project it was being collected by the Pinkerton Global Intelligence Service, which is they're the same company that used to guard stagecoaches in the American West.
Oh,
they're still around.
Like a security firm.
They do detective stuff, but they also do counterterrorism stuff in different countries. So starting when we invented satellite technology, so late 1969, 1970, for the first time in human history, you could have an event taking place in Gaza or Israel or South America, and it could be sent back to any place on the planet, immediately.
Yeah.
And we start to find companies like Pinkerton would hire ex-intelligence officers to collect data on terrorism and record it. And then, you're a company, you're a Ford Motor Company, you're sending two people to Zimbabwe, you want to know what the risk of terrorism. The company would sell that information. And I think they didn't so much make money on the data, but it was a kind of icing on the cake of other sorts of things they're selling. Okay. So anyway, Pinkerton, a bunch of companies were doing this in the United States, particularly the United States and the UK. But back in 2000, Pinkerton decided that they were no longer going to collect the data. And their home offices are close to Washington. So I took the subway out, visited the Pinkerton offices, and said, I think people would really be interested in these data. And I was interested because I'd been studying homicide. So I'm thinking, well, this, in a way, terrorism is a kind of homicide. I'll just substitute terrorism for homicide. And to my surprise, they said, yeah, you can take the data back to the University of Maryland. So, I go out there with a couple of colleagues. We load all the data into our vans and drive back to Maryland. And then about 6 months later, 9/11 happens. And suddenly we're sitting on more terrorism data than even the government has. Because the United States really hadn't been that interested in terrorism. A little bit with the Oklahoma City bombing, but not much. And certainly not international terrorism. So suddenly there was this huge interest in terrorism, and we were sitting on a database that looked really relevant.